Hi, I'm Alan. This is ICT Billet. I'll give you guys a shop tour today, and you can see how everything's done right here in Wichita, Kansas. Come on inside with me and I'll show you how this is done. So inside here, this is our showroom where we display the parts. A lot of times, since we make all kinds of new parts, the engineers will bring products in here, test them out. As you can see here on this engine, we've got a template that they had made, testing out a new piece. A lot of times we're doing that, even taking pictures and stuff up front on our display engines here. These, you can see, we make a variety of parts, all the little billet goodies, you know, from little pieces here to spacers, plugs. We do tons of brackets, about anything you can think of. We've got probably 1,400 SKUs that we make here as ICT Billet products, and we probably sell another 600 or so SKUs on our website. So let's head on back and I'll show you guys where this begins in the back, where the material comes in and the magic starts.
Sweet.
Okay. So here's where the material comes into the building. So they'll offload the truck, put the material here on the racks. We use tons and tons and tons of aluminum every year. So we've got maybe 150,000 pounds of aluminum right now here in the warehouse that we're sitting on. You can see they come in big bundles. Typically we'll buy them in 12-inch wide or less, just because you get a lot better price break on those to help us keep the prices down. So we buy a variety of things, like you see some of the tubing we get here. Those are custom sizes made just for us. Some for angle and things, those are all custom size. So we even spec out our material a little thicker than the normal plate you would get from places. And that way it has a smoother finish too. So we request that just for us, so a little bit different there. You can see racks on both sides, varying sizes on each rack. And then over here, we have our saw. So the operator, what they do is grab a whole bundle of material, cut the whole stack, put it in this machine. Then the machine will grab it here, so the machine grabs it to the side and on the top, and then it pulls it into here. And then over here in this slotted area in here is where the saw blade is. So where it comes through here, the blade's probably about yay big. And it just looks like a big circular saw blade with carbide teeth on it. It cuts super fast. This here will advance the bar really quickly. The control panel here on the side, the operator just tells it like, hey, I need 10-inch pieces, I need 20 of those. And then this pulls it in, it's cutting, you know, several pieces at a time or more. It could cut round stock, which is really helpful. This machine repeats about each cut within about 2,000, so less than a human hair. So very precise, very quick. This is a big step up from our old machine that used to have coolant running through. This here is a dry machine, so there's no coolant to get in there. It really sped the process up a lot. So this has been helpful to having this piece of equipment. Then from here in the background, you can see this is our laser. So this is where we run like our first article part. We have a CNC brake behind that. We have some overflow of like bolts and things here. We also have another warehouse down the street, which is about 3,000 square foot, that we keep a lot of our overflow and other like projects and things there. But this building here is 25,000 square foot. We started off with 2,500 square foot about 11 years ago here in this building, and since have grown a little bit, thanks to you all. We're still expanding. The building's full now, so the only thing we can do is increase efficiency. So we're changing out equipment, trying to stack things higher, get bigger pallet racks each year to try to accommodate all the demand from our customers. So then we can walk back this way. When we go over here, we've got our scrap bins here for the material coming out of the machines. We have our coolant that's going into them. Some of the drill bins. You can see here under the rack, there's some of the jobs that are staged. And then on these stacks, they'll tell you what the part is, what the fixture looks like on the machine. You can see here we've got like a torque plate. But this is a stack of material. So here just on this job, we're gonna run that whole stack. So you can see each one of these stacks is a different job that's gonna go in a machine. We try to standardize everything as much as possible just to keep the cost down and keep the setup times as little as possible. So over here, we've got 2 of our big trunnion machines. Really helpful to make it to where a job in this machine could actually run in another machine without any effort or anything changing. You can see the parts. This is running the LS to LT4 supercharger adapters. So if you look here on our setup sheet, you'll see what the part looks like. You'll see the critical tolerances that they're trying to run everything within, those constraints. You see on the back, it shows our machine, where they get pinned into the table. So these machines here are pinned in. You can see the little pin spots here. These have threaded holes in them. If I blew these out, you can see in there, but these are threaded holes, and it's also a dowel pin. So when this fixture is bolted down, you pin it to the table, throw the bolts in it. Then once the program is loaded in the control, they just hit the start button on it. You just throw the material on it, clamp it down, start running. So that makes it super quick and easy. Do a setup for any of these guys coming in that are new to us, that are learning how the machine works. You just pin it in there, run it, and go. Super simple and easy. Another thing too, we like using are these fans. So where the tool comes down out of the machine, it's really narrow, the spot where it comes through. So you need the tool to be narrow. Good thing about these is when you have a lot of chips and you're trying to blow them off, like normally the operator would open the door and then take the air and blow it off. Well, when you do that, all the coolant and the chips are shooting off at you. So what we do is before this machine's gonna stop, we'll have it run and it'll bring this fan up, pop it down in here. And then as this starts spinning, these are spring loaded. So then that fan opens up and it blows all the chips and coolant off while the doors are closed. That way, none of that's going out on the floor. Saves a lot of mess, saves the operator time. We also use the fans if we're gonna run like a delicate cutter on the back side. The small cutters, you don't wanna run over chips because they'll just end up breaking the cutter off. So sometimes we'll blow the part off, or if we're taking big cuts, blow the chips off and then run the cutter again. That's a lot there. We'll run our tablets on each machine. These are running from MachineMetrics, this kind of thing, so you could look at any of these stats on your phone. You could even set different parameters if you could see if an operator overrode the spindle speed or anything. These, we had got MachineMetrics years ago because I was running on the weekend the lathes. 2 of the lathes shut off. It was worth my time to come back up, turn them back on again. Now you can see like this one here at the end of our run. This is just for this little bank of machines. The operators can see the machines on this bank and how they're performing. Also too on these, you can see the operator can log into the machine, change the job. So if you look at the display here, you'll see each one's kind of a little different. But like this top bar here is the status bar. So this one says it's been idling for 2 minutes. So blue means that it's off, green would mean it's running. The 2 yellows means that the operator is in a setup, meaning they just put a fixture in, they're getting through the first run of parts until it gets bought off by QA. And then at that point, it goes in to just a normal run. You can see here which operator signed in and what shift they're currently running. And then here behind us, this is another good one here. So this machine is actually running with the trunnion, same as the last machine. You can see here the part that it's making. This one's the LS engine to Hellcat supercharger adapter. So you can see we're making 2 pairs of them at once. You can see here on the back what that looks like. It just kind of tells the operator a little bit about it. Then we've got more machines doing a setup in these other 2. We go on up. These stacks of fixture here are what's about to go on the machine. This one here is a Cummins 6BT torque plate. So these are big Cummins 6BT plates. So this is something from the last run, this one's. We've got our tool crib here. This is kind of where the tools, where we put them together, and then we measure them on this machine over here. I can pop one of these in here, show you how this thing works. So what you do is you put your tool in here, set it down, and then here on the screen we would just pull it down to where you see the actual cutter. You can see how precise that is. It's looking at a thread mill, which this thing's really tiny. If you look at teeny tiny, but you see here it's really zoomed in. Then you would just bring this up and it would find the top of the tool, and then you print a little tag, and you would just put this tag here. Once you print it off, they snap this on, and that way they go in the machine. They're already pre-made. The operator can just load it in there. But I'll show you more on that here in just a second. The other one we left off back here was the tool presetter. So this one here is our tool presetter. This thing is really neat. So the old type of holders, they would actually have like a couple set screws in there. You put the cutter in it, tighten the set screws. Well, the problem with that is the set screws push the tool off center, and then the set screws add weight. So this thing's not round, it's not balanced when you're spinning it fast. So when you're running a real high-speed cutter, you want it super balanced. That way your cutter lasts a long time without wearing. These are called heat shrink. So what it is, you can see the discoloration here on the top. A piece of one of these still in there, but you would set the holder in here, pull this piece down, and then hit this button. And within a few seconds, this whole area glows red. It's like super hot. So when it heats up, the hole in this actually opens just a little bit. Then you'd slide your cutter in, you'd pull the old one out, put the new one in, and then cool it off with air. And then once it cools down, it grips that tool, and it's not coming out of there. But this makes it super precise. That way that tool's really round and balanced. So that helps save a lot of cutter life on those. This area is really neat because this is where the operators, they have the little key card. They tell it what kind of cutter they want, and then all the cutters are in here. So any of the cutters that they need, they just come in here, scan in, grab the cutter they need. You can look here in these bins as well. So these are our preset tools. So in the Haas, about the first 20 tools in our machine, they always stay the same tool. That way, the operator doesn't have to worry about switching them out. We run the same tools, then it makes it very easy to set up new jobs. If you look in here, all of these are standard tools. So like this one's a tool 7. So if they ship a cutter, they can just come over here, scan in, pop one of these out. They just put it in the machine, type in the height, and then that machine's ready to run. There's nothing else to check or set. We'll just kind of move on to the next bank. So on this side here, we've got more of the parts. Like this one here is running a alternator bracket piece. So you can see kind of what the part looks like. On the back, you can see how many we're making at once. So you can see we're making a lot of them. So that really helps us drive the cost down by making high volume. That way there's less times that the operator has to open the doors and check parts or anything. So trying to be very efficient with this whole process. You can see here, they've got a whole nother stack of material to run on this. There's another job about to go on this machine. There's some of the parts that are completed. Had one of these over here. This is an alternator bracket. So here's your front and rear bracket. These here, we'll have like our valley cover machines. So this one's making our valley covers. See here, it's got a big brush in the machine. So that's how we get the finish on those. Do one big pass with the face mill, one big pass with the brush. You look here too on the screen, you can see some of what the operators are looking at for just this cell of machines back here is a transmission adapter. So you can kind of see the shape here. It's like a spacer plate. So it's making 4 of those at once. Come down here, this is the alternator bracket, that bin I was just showing you guys. Here's the parts when they're complete. So what they look like when they come out before they go to the tumbler. So you can see the fan blew this off. This is really nice and clean, ready for the operator to take the bolts out. Then down here we've got the other trunnion machine. You can see it's got a big tool changer on this one. So you can see all the different tools that that machine holds, which is a bunch on it. Ready to go in. These guys got some parts they're prepping. Like here we've got some big block Chevy valve cover spacers. A lot of different parts. These are our engine safe plates. So that's what goes on the engine stand to hold it for Chevy. A lot of these, a lot of times there's gonna be multiple carts of parts getting made at one time. Yeah, just more of those. Over here too, you can see the TV display for this bank of machines. So this machine here, it's making the oil ports for an LS engine. So you can see here, it's telling them which thread, what the O-ring groove is, how that looks on the machine, where to pin the fixture in when they first do a setup. So this machine here, a normal machine, the table will slide side to side, front to back. When you have these trunnions, this orange part here, with rotary. That spins where you can tilt it up on the side to do more of the machining at once without having to take the part out and like flip it over. These are just other machines here too, running. This looks like a alternator bracket. Yep, it's an alternator bracket we're running. And then let's go check out the lathes. So the lathes here, you can see like some of the scrap bins, parts going out. These here, we're making the transmission adapter. This goes onto the back of the crankshaft of an LS engine. This is a really tall one, so it's made for like a thick motor plate or something where it needs to be a lot longer than the normal little short one. And here you can see kind of what this looks like. So it's got the bar. It's making boring all the holes inside and doing the drilling. This machine's kind of neat because you can put tools on the front and the back side. It's a half index, so you could actually run 2 different positions on one tool number. And you can see here to drill on the back side. This other side here, this one here is a sub spindle. So whenever this part is done, this spindle will come up and like grab from the inside and push out. It'll take the part, come over here, then we can finish machining it on the back side. So we'll use that like on our pulleys that we make. Then here, the important part of this for efficiency is the parts catcher. So having a parts catcher, having the probe in here where it can check the part, check the tools, I mean. So on the parts catcher on these, what'll happen is once this part is done, the program's done running the part, this is gonna slide over. It goes up like here, it cups the part, it cuts the part off, that part slides down the chute into here. So when it goes through here, if you look at this, when that slides over, that kicks open. That way it opens this door and allows that chute to drop the part right into here with the rest of them. Over here, you can see this is kind of the area where we send the programs to the machine. This is our big display. This is showing just the Haas machines is what this is showing here. What's running here. You can see we've got 5 setups going right now here, 5 of the yellows. So you can see all the green bar ones, and little bars what I'm looking at. You can see those of like how long they've been running, how they're running. The big cell area tells you how efficient that machine's been running. So if you see a green, which is on a few of them, those are doing really good. Some of those we haven't been paying as much attention to it because we used to have just one operator for 4 machines, but now, depending on how the shifts overlap, some of the guys come in working overtime, they'll run a lot more machines than 4 at once. You can see here too, a couple of these are red. So they got some kind of issue, which might be, you know, they're doing a setup, but you can see there's an error here on one. Another one, somebody overrode the rapid travel on it. So we want to keep track of all that. That way we know the operator's not messing with the machine. Then in here, what we're going to go to next is this is a tumbler room. So we take the parts, when they come out of the machine, they have a lot of scratches on them. They'll have sharp edges if we don't deburr them. So we're gonna run them through this media in here. The first set of media is gonna take the sharp edges off and kind of sand it. Once it goes through there, we're gonna put it in to the finished media, which is the white media that we're currently running right now. Once it goes into there, it's gonna brighten the part up, make it shiny. Parts on those, we're leaving it in just long enough to get a uniform finish because these machines are running all day long. Like we run here 3 shifts a day, 5 days a week at minimum, if not working on the weekends. But when we're running those parts, they'll run a shorter cycle time just to get a good finish. But if we left them in for probably an hour and a half, they'd be super shiny and like look like chrome. So I'll show you in here what these look like. It's pretty loud, so. Let's see your slot plates. This is the material we use. And then the finished material that we're using on these. So, a little harder to find the parts in here, but you see they're starting to get shiny. And then also in here too, we got all the aluminum for the lathe. So you can see all the aluminum on the walls. We've got another lathe right here making parts. That's about it in here. We'll go back to the other side. It's pretty loud in there, so we'll come back out here, show you guys kind of the rest of it. Also on these machines too, when these are running, to make this efficient, we have these bar feeders here. So on those, what it does is it'll load a bar of material, push it in. When it hits this sensor here, this little sensor here, you see the lights on it? Whenever that sensor goes in there, it'll grab the length of the bar, real accurate, pushes it in, and then this push rod will come down and it'll push it all the way into the nose of the machine. The machine makes the part. As soon as the part's done, this push rod's gonna go in there and advance the bar into the next position. Whenever the machine knows it has less than 2 inches in the chuck, it's gonna use this and inject the last of the bar. And then it's gonna come in here, grab the next bar, flip it over into here. You can see this bar here ready to go. Normally this whole area, you just fill it up with bars. So it could run either hours or days or however long until it like has a jam or something needs done on the machine. But it makes it super efficient to use these. And here we got some of the start of our inventory. You kind of look at some of these things over here we've got on this. We've got some inventory here kind of going in. And then this is our packaging room here. We have a few of the boxes. There's lots of plastic sizes here you can see that we use. We have all of our roll bag stuff for our baggers. We've got 2 of the bagger machines here. Those are pretty neat. You can just load the plastic in. Very universal. You can tell it what that label looks like that you want to have. It's like on the bagger here, you can see here we put the labels on it, write whatever we want. So when the bag rolls through the machine, we put on there exactly what we want to see. That way we can change it for each and every product that's customized, so we can have that look on there. Then over here we've got a lot of our bolts. This room is where all of our bolts are kept, all the normal stock of bolts. But here you can kind of see all the different bolts. You can see like what size they are. So like all the shelves are marked. You can see the heads on them, kind of what we're using. But these are metric flange bolts kind of here. We've got more bolts here. There's a lot here on the back side. So there's like anywhere from like flathead bolts to nuts to little set screws. There's tons and tons of variations. You can kind of see here on this side, like little socket cap bolts and washers to anything you could think of. Some of this stuff's custom made for us. That way we could spec out like the head height and different things, but a lot more bolts here. You can see these are other packaging stations. So once the parts are completed with the tumbler, they'll roll out into here. They'll come in here to these areas. You can kind of see all the parts in here. So this is where they go. Once they come out of the tumbler room, they come out here to get the initial inspection by QA. So this is our QA areas. So there's 2 different areas here for quality. The material, these parts come out, so you'd look at it, comes through the tumbler. They make sure that the finish looks good, all the threads, all the dimensions are good on these. Once they're good, they would turn around, they go back here to the packagers. The packagers would assemble all the pieces, so you could see like this one has an instructional paper that goes with it. There's all the spacers and bolts that go in with it. Let me grab one of these from me, Scott. So you can see here he's making a hardware kit with a bushing with a bearing that we already pushed into there. So this is going into a larger kit here. So this is for our 55101 kit. So this is for the CD09 adapter, but he's making a hardware kit for it. Once those parts are completely done, then they come back to QA, and this is where they would check the rest of it and make sure that all the little bolts and things are in these packages before they go to the shelf. So they're gonna end up checking every one of these to make sure every product is packaged correctly, and then they add them to inventory and put them away in the bins on the shelf. See back here, there's a lot of parts here. There's a lot of stuff even up under here. Lots and lots of things. So anything from, like you can see, we've got timing cover, or the rear main covers here that we've got. Engine safes that we were looking at on the other side there. There's valley covers, small block Chevy. There's a couple different variations of those. Lots of pieces here. More of the big block covers on this side. Then over here we've got all of the spacers that go in the kit. So if we come back this way, you can see here there's a lot of variations. Tons and tons of different sizes. All these bins are full of those. Stuff on top. And over here we have the smaller ones. So these are like our M6 sizes. So lots of variations here. Here's all of our O-rings on these shelves here. Lots of O-rings of all kinds of different size. We only use FKM O-rings here, so they're only like the top quality. They can handle battery acid, fuels, whatever you could throw at them. So any of our seals always use those, so we use none but the good ones on those. Then in this room, this is our break room. So you kind of see we've got like a little vending area where they have like even warm foods. We got all this stuff in the fridge where it's self-serve, so makes it super easy for the guys. Over here we've got a TV display, so we're just showing stats for everybody that worked that week. Each area has their own area, so we're looking at efficiency. We're looking at their weekly incentive pay that they've got, if they've had such a high efficiency that they earned something there. You can see here our core value champion of the week. So somebody that exemplifies like all of our core values and really done more than the normal. So like those people who really want to put them forward here, you know, just part of having that great culture with the company. And then over here is our daily area of like our tie-ins. Each person in our morning meetings, each area has to present their numbers and they talk about their win in the area, something that went right for them, something that's going good. So it's just us building that environment of winning. So this room here is pretty special because when we first got our building about 11 years ago, this room here was the only room that we had in this whole building. So this is 2,500 square foot, and this is where it all began. We had 2 different machines in here that bought our first lathe. Yeah, this is where we started. Then the landlord would have somebody move out of one of the other units, and we would take it over. So then we would just kind of punch a hole through the wall and kind of just kept taking over multiple units throughout the building. Of course, they weren't in order, so we just kind of grabbed whatever was available, and eventually we bought the building from the landlord, and now we have the whole building, so 25,000 square foot. So super cool to see that it started in here, and you know, looks a little different now than from the beginning. So this is where our inventory comes in back here. So this side here is kind of where things get offloaded into the building. This is our receiving area. Also, we'll ship out like the big skidded orders that are going out to vendors. Those would go out of this room. So this is going into our wiring area here. So this is where the wiring machine is. Here is our fancy wiring machine. So if you come back here, you can see we use barrels of wire. So super easy to roll these in place. This one looks like just plain black wire. Becky's got a job here set up for us. So what happens is this wire pulls into here. You'll see these jaws in here, which have the 2 belts. The wire gets pinched between it, pushes it in, then the stripper on the end will strip the wire to the length we want, and then it comes over to the next station to the left, and that's where the seal gets put on. You can see one of the seal stations here. See the white seals at the bottom. So those things are super tiny and delicate and like have to be put on just the right height. So what it does is it goes over there, puts a seal on, and then it comes over here. You can see these terminals coming in from this reel, and then it comes over, it crimps it, and then it scoots back between the 2, and then the camera takes a picture of it, makes sure that the crimp height is correct and that none of the wires are frayed or sticking out. And then it finishes by pulling the wire through more, cuts it to length, and does the remaining side on these other 2 stations over here. So it seals, crimps, all that good stuff. So you can go on and kick it on, Becky. Pull the wire in. It's pretty cool to watch this thing. So right now we got this slowed down for you so you can see it move, but it's super fast. This thing will do about 2,000 pieces an hour. So take a look at these. Which run is that, a 2-sided? So this is like one of the pieces that it's making here. This is from another run. So it'll bring it in, strip the end of it. You can see where it's stripped inside there. It'll put on this little seal at just the right height, and then it crimps it. The camera checks to make sure these things are perfect. So you can see how straight these are versus if you were like crimping them by hand. See how nicely each little piece is crimped, including the seal. But it'll make, you know, about 3,000 an hour of these. Puts them into the chute, then it dumps them down. It could make really long wires, so you could run like a 10-foot wire in here. Then how they're setting it up, which pieces are going onto this, which seal, how long, what the strip looks like. Then they'll come in here and they'll test. They'll do a pull test on these to make sure the crimp's just right on these. Over here, we've got some of the stations where we're starting to assemble these pieces. So you can see over here, this is actually a Casper's unit. Pretty much all of the pieces that we're using here, we use all the OEM pieces if humanly possible. So if it's available out there, we're gonna use that connector, that actual terminal, seal, all that. That way they're perfect every time. That's kind of our main area for the small packages. So over here's kind of where all the small packages go out. You can see a lot of The UPS, FedEx stuff's back here in this corner going out. These are direct to consumer area. So a lot of the stock here on these shelves. And then we'll look back here to the main area. This is where the skidded stuff goes out. Load up skids, pick the big orders. How to go out here on these areas. That's where boxes are kept. A lot more overflow here. This is the room where we got tons of like GM parts over here. So we'll stock GM balancer pulleys, tensioners, gaskets, tons of AC Delco, like water pumps and things. Lots of factory components because we sell all those. You can see here too, a lot of big palletainers on larger items. Like these are high ram spacers that we make. So these are kind of neat. Lots of parts there. Then we go back up here to the offices. Then we've got my office here, so super neat. We kind of switched out the monitors. Years back, I got like our first big monitor. I was like, well, we don't really need it, but I was kind of playing. And then come to find out, it's so much better to have one screen instead of multiple where you have a break. Like I use spreadsheets all the time. We use a ton of Google Sheets. Like as a business, you'll never make money unless you use spreadsheets. So having a big spreadsheet open where I could copy and paste, move things around, it's like so easy to have multiple windows going at once. So we have our admin's office here. We have media on this side, which we'll go in a second. And then we have the sales office here. So you kind of see here what they're working on.
What's going on, guys?
Then taping. Then, yeah. So just kind of a little bit.
What was that?
We'll come back out there so we don't disturb them since they're working. But you can see their dual monitors in there, super cool. Then our media area. This thing's really neat to see. This, if you ever looked online and looked at like a shoe and you've seen where you can like grab the shoe and you can roll it over, look at the bottom, look at the top, that's a 3D picture. So that's what we're doing here with this display. So we have 5 cameras here. So if you look at all the different cameras, what this software does is it'll start here. There's lights all around. There's different lights in the bottom. Some of these are off right now. But it'll fire the cameras and then it knows from our settings like, okay, turn 20 degrees, change this light, dim that one, change this one. And then it fires, takes some pictures again, and then it just keeps going around like that. Then at the end of it, it'll make the pictures, it'll output in whatever size. If you want different sizes for Amazon or for different like social media, maybe you want like a smaller format for one of them, it'll output all the files that are done with the background already cut out. So in this one, when we bought it, you can see this kind of round area here in the table. So when we bought it, I thought maybe it had a shaft in the center, that way I could just, you know, put the engine on it and be super easy. It ended up having, the glass was driven by wheels on the outside. So then I had to make a base down in the bottom, get a custom piece of glass made with a hole for the pipe. And then I put 2 other little holes in it so I could drive the center shaft off of the glass because the glass is the driven piece. So it works out pretty good, but we just kind of have it sitting there on that pipe. So this is another pretty cool piece of equipment going in here. Here's engineering. So it's our engineers where they live up front here. See the ferro arm. I got a TV for the ferro arm, for their ferro arm and stuff. But this is where they make all the parts. We'll give them the parts or the ideas, how they want it to work. They'll make the parts here. Mike's got some LT4 adapters up here doing something with them, but they can just kind of make whatever they want there. Here we've got some Hellcat adapters, things that we've made in the back on the machine. So pretty cool to see the parts come in here from an idea, the concept, to a final part. So that's kind of more of the parts in there. This little closet kind of area here is like for our pitcher engines, the engines that the engineers are using in the showroom. So there's all the different like AC compressors in here. There's tons of variations. There's all the different water pumps for every different kind of model. So that's kind of what this area here is. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's the tour. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We really loved having you guys here today and get to show everybody how the parts are made here at ICT Billet, right here in Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah, that was cool. You know what else is cool? Our shirts. Go to ICT Billet and buy one today.